Welcome, Steve, big cap trader, option trader, former pilot. He is uh, he had became a pro trading option and big caps, also swings. On the other hand, we have Kyle. He's a successful entrepreneur. He trades scalping, small caps mainly. He's gonna talk. They're gonna talk today a little bit about their experience in trading. They're gonna talk about what were their main difficulties when they started, how these difficulties evolved till now. So welcome traders. Thank you for being here. Just a very easy talk today. And I know you are very busy. So thank you for being here.
It's good to be here, Jay.
Good to see you.
All right. So let's start with Steve over here. So Steve, when did you start trading? And what you used to do for a living before trading? I know that now you trade full time.
Yeah, I think most guys in the room know my story, but I'll go through it real quickly for those that watch this later. But I started when I was 20 years old in the military. So I went to high school, then I went to the Air Force Academy, and then I was a lieutenant at pilot training. And while I was in pilot training, a guy was talking to me about investing. He was showing me Kiplinger's magazine and Money magazine and stuff like that. So I started with stocks actually back in 1989. I think that was before Jtrader was born. But so I've been in the markets a long time. I read a bunch of books like William O'Neill, technical analysis books. So I had a lot of technical analysis background, but I never started day trading until 2.5 years ago. I started in May of, that would be 2018. And then I just said, you know what, I have, like the guys in the room know, I have a wife who passed away from cancer, and I have a son who's severely disabled. And then I had his twin brother is healthy. So that's Tyler and Trevor. And my wife's name was Nicole. So going through all that stuff, it was really tough. And, I needed some sort of a mental break from all of the, bad stuff that was going on in my life. So I told my dad, look, I'm going to start day trading. And I think, it's something I can do from home. I can be with my son. And I think there's a lot of opportunity there. And I just love the market. So
and what your father told you about? What your father told you when you wanted to get into trading?
What did my dad say?
Yeah. Were you crazy, or he was like,
I don't think he believed me. I don't think he believed me. He didn't know the possibilities of what you could make. I had made good money over the years investing in tech stocks. So back in the 90s, I did a lot of tech investing. I did really well, but I had no understanding of risk. And so I had lost, I'm ashamed to say I've lost $1 million twice because I had no risk control and I didn't understand risk. And so my dad was probably scared when I told him I was going to day trade. And so, everyone thinks it's a form of gambling. I'm sure people in the room think the same, but I don't think he took me seriously. And actually one day we were walking to school and we kind of got in an argument, and I said, you need to look at me as a professional trader. And I don't think he believed me, but now you fast forward and I think he's starting to believe.
That's fine. And Kyle, why instead, you come from a different environment, and when did you start trading?
July of 2018.
And what your family said about that? You're married. I know you have a daughter, right?
Yeah, I have a son and a daughter. My son is 28. My daughter's 27. Been married 32 years. My background, I graduated 85. I joined the Navy when I was 17, a junior in high school. Grew up in the Army. Did 6 years in the Navy, but I kind of looked at the pay scale on where I would be after 30 years and if I'm 89, and it just wasn't. I just have always had an entrepreneurial spirit. So I got out, went to work for Raytheon and some other military contractors for a while, and then eventually had a few setbacks, and then finally went into business on my own. So had my own business for 20 years. I sold it this last February, and I had a decision to make to either try to go full time, but I just didn't feel like, I felt like it was going to add too much stress. I was still struggling a little bit at that time. I had the money, but I had already lost, 100 grand. So I knew how quick that could happen. And I didn't want that stress.
Your losses, where they came from?
Just overconfidence, I'm older. I had a successful business, I could look at it. I watched some videos and I thought, yeah, this is math, it's no problem. So I did the typical, join the chat pump room, went long.
We know it.
Yeah. The story. I've been in about 5 chat rooms. So I had to get burnt enough times. And, I lost a bunch the first 6 months, and then slowly from there I started reducing the losses, but to finally overcome all of it. And then that kind of cracked my confidence, so I had a confidence problem. And then just, it's like I said in that other video, I don't think trading itself is hard. I think just being a human being is hard. Overcoming we're not wired to do things a certain way. It's just human instinct. It's once you start winning, you want to keep trading, just all those things. So,
And if you go back now and you think about the first 5 to 6 months when you started back in 2018, I mean, how do you see yourself 2018? How Kyle 2020 changed? What is different in your process? What is different in your knowledge?
I didn't know anything in 2018. All I knew was what I saw in the YouTube videos. It starts out here, it's starting to go up. You go in, I was using way too much size. I really didn't have a good grasp of the trading platform. I was losing, I would take a $7,500 loss and then an $8,000, and then I would get lucky and, make $5,000. And it was
the Kyle that instead like evolve as a trader. So you start a little bit having like more, you are more knowledgeable, more about the setups, you recognize now the patterns, when to long, when to short, you made your strategy. And this guy right now, would ever, I would say, have those losses. No. Sure, everybody can have a bad day, but I mean, is risk management an important factor?
That's it 100%. I have, I cannot trade more than 5,000 shares, which I rarely take a size. I can count on one hand how many times I've ever been in 5,000 shares in any stock. Usually it's 1,000 to 2,000. I may get up to 3,000 shares for a quick, right when I'm at within 2 to 3 cents of my stop out, I may go one more 1,000 shares. I'm out, but it doesn't happen. But I don't. So I have those in place with my broker. I have a max loss with my broker.
That's very important.
Right now, so, and if I hit my max loss, which is 20, right now it's at 2,500 because of what I make a day. If I hit that once, then the next day, if I have a loss, then I'll go down to 1,000. And then after that, I'll go to 500. And I keep my account at 30,000. I don't let it, I always take it out, because I have had times in the past, probably. What's that?
The overconfidence, then you start crazy.
Well, it's overconfidence, and then sometimes I'll get biased, and then like the last time I took the big loss that I took, which was probably about 3,500, I just kind of got into this attitude of like, just, it was kind of a self-destructive attitude, like, oh yeah, you want to go down more. So I would add more and be like, screw you. It was almost like I was just like throwing gas on the fire. And when it was done, then you feel bad and you have that, you get down on yourself. But I haven't had that in a while. But so you need those, because all it takes is one time,
That's true. That's true.
Anyway. So it's been a lot of development in that area. And I think that's probably been the biggest thing, is learning to stop trading and learning to not compare myself to other people. Like today, I saw what Steve made compared to what I made. And the first instinct, it's just human nature. I'm like, you want to compare yourself and go,
I can tell you, Steve gave back 20% of that profit. I don't know if he did more later. But he's having like straight 5K days. I mean, he's going crazy lately.
So I feel great about my 1,800, and then I see 5 and I'm like, and then all of a sudden you don't feel so good about it. But I'm not really that way anymore. But it's just a momentary
compared to others. I mean,
it's human nature.
Yeah, but I mean, you can like ask a person how you made the money, like, there's something more. Basically, it's only about, in your case, about time. Because I
Yeah.
see your
Yeah.
trades, even when you're scalp and you're sometimes front side and you're short, I know that you're trading when you're extended and you wait right away to pull back to cover. So to reduce right away your risk.
Exactly.
Then on the backside, for example, the other day we were trading gap and extension and you waited stuff. And after we had the fake breakout after the VWAP, you simply short all the pops and continue to measure the unwinding. So, and I know that when you're front side, you short less, like less size. When you're back side, you short more with size. So I understand this.
And you get a feel for how the algo or the big hands are, because sometimes they give you so much room. If it's going, you have a 20-cent range on the front side, you can make money on that, and you get a feel for, what the stock's doing. And it doesn't always work out. And a lot of times I'll take size off. On the front side, you'll see, a lot of sells. Like I'm taking size off, so I'm actually kind of stopping out, but it's a partial stop. So I'm taking some size off, maybe taking $100, $200 loss, but kind of keeping a small core in there. And then if it starts to get away from me, then I'll just stop out completely and reset. But sometimes I can kind of maintain and, but it kind of gives me, and what that's done for me over time is it's allowed me to really get good at price action and really get good at level 2, because, I kind of like the struggle. I like the fight of, and then I just get so used to seeing when it's getting heavy, when it's surging, when the volume's picking up. Because when you're sitting there just focused on it, and you're doing that, it really develops your price action and your level 2 skills. At least for me, it has.
And traders over here, we have two different traders, even how they look at things. I mean, one side we have Kyle, mainly scalper into day trader. He uses a lot of level 2 and price action. The other side we have different approach. We have Steve, which now will tell us he trades mainly patterns, a very systematic approach, and he doesn't look at or even likes tape at all. I mean, he uses Bookmap to see the order flow, to see the microstructure, so the inside resistance that on a normal level 2 you cannot see. He sees the soak, he sees the absorption, but really doesn't like to look at level 2. He looks Bookmap, he sees the chart, and he trades the patterns. So Steve, what can you tell us about the Steve, let's say 2018, the Steve today? Besides more gray hair.
I've come a long way for sure. I did the mentoring. I started in November of 2019. So let's just call it January. And so we're coming up on a year. I pretty much graduated. It's that idea of, you can give a man a fish or teach him to fish. And I feel like, Jtrader taught me to fish. And so I don't need a lot of input anymore. I generate my own stocks and I trade my own style, and, I check in the room, and, I'm good friends with Jtrader, but, I've from a year ago to today is enormously different. I know I posted in the room the other day, I think some of my notes, actually I have them here. Let's see here.
Yeah, I have your notes as well.
So this says January 11th of 20, goals to finish the week. We can set a weekly goal of 1,500 a week, track the setups you do best, trade only them, record tape, and filter out random trades, and then follow Jay. And so he just basically gave me the roadmap. Look, follow me, learn the setups, know the setups cold, and set some goals, keep yourself accountable, and, record tape, get as much screen time as possible. And so I did all that. And, I tried to come into this with, I have very little understanding of day trading. Even though I had an extensive background in stocks, I said day trading is a whole different thing. I gotta learn how to day trade. And I wasn't trying not to talk to Jtrader about the stuff outside of day trading. And I just committed myself to his setups, and I threw out all the other indicators and stuff I use. And that's something I would really recommend for somebody that's new. If you've had prior experience you're in big caps or small caps, don't jump ship. I'm not here to convert anyone from small caps to big caps. I think Jtrader will tell you that if you have experience in something, start there. You got something to build off. But at the same time, don't bring your old indicators into his system. You know, his system is very systematic. The beauty of it, it takes a single couple of EMAs, you know, the J lines, that's it. And then it's just price action and tape and patterns. And so I recommend you dump your old stuff and commit 100% to Jtrader strategies. Know his setups cold, pick the ones that make sense to you the most, and just know the rules cold. And that's where I started. I didn't know the rules that well. I took all kinds of random trades. I call them rats, random ass trades. But I was taking extended trades. You know, I didn't really understand, you know, I need to be buying near the J lines to control my risk. You know, I need to get multiples of R. And so I jumped in there and I thought I'd make a lot of money. And like Kyle, I started too much size, all the typical mistakes. You get in on day one, you want to click some buttons, you want to make some money, you're paying for the subscription. You can't do that. You got to learn the setups cold, paper trade, be disciplined on execution. So you asked me, you know, from then to now, I'm super disciplined. I know my patterns cold. I can enter trades in seconds. I see the patterns that I'm in. I'm super reactive. You know, a lot of times I'll trade stuff, you know, Alexandra knows because I trade with her a little bit, but a lot of times I trade, you know, stuff that I didn't pre-market plan. And that's not what you need to be doing when you start. But if I've built some tools to help me chase stocks during the day, not chase as in price, but find stocks that weren't in my plan. And when I see strength,
like a scanner.
Go ahead, Jay.
Like a scanner, correct?
Yeah, I use a scanner, real-time scanner, and I'm looking for stocks that are super strong in the morning, and then I'm trying to catch the first bounce. So if I had like 4 or 5 stocks and they don't play out, or maybe I play 1 or 2 of them, it's the ones that don't work that I start pulling in stocks that have a lot of strength. And then I'm looking for the first bounce because, you know, the 80-90% of this really strong stocks with volume that have a good catalyst, they're going to bounce. And so I tried after about the first 10 minutes, I start popping in new stocks. And then the other thing is I'm becoming more reactive. You know, I'm a long trader. I always joke about I can't short, and Jtrader says he's going to teach me to short, but I'm going to work on my shorts. But I want to switch my bias instantly like Jay. I want to be able to long and 2 seconds later be short. And I've had conviction issues with investing where I hold stocks for years, and that's why I lost $1 million. But I don't do that anymore. So I control my risk. I don't chase. I know the setup's cold. I trust that the J lines work. You know, one thing I did, and I recommend highly to new guys, don't go back and back test all the Jtrader shit. The shit works. Just trust that it works, right? So just learn the setups and trust that it works, and then do it. And when you start seeing success, you will gain confidence. So as you trust in the J lines and you start setting your risk below the J lines, you know, you trust that it works. Don't waste your time back testing it. He's handing you the golden ticket, right? Here, 20 years of stuff that doesn't change. And so just trust that it works. And then as you have success, you're going to get confidence, and then confidence will lead to conviction and size.
Yeah. Sometimes, you know, Bas, I was talking before with a trader. I mean, he tries to incorporate too many things, for example, with my strategy. And I say, it's good. I mean, I give you like the module, then you can like improve it according to what fits for you. For example, you're more like a trader of patterns. Kyle is more a trader for off-price action and tape. So then you have to I would say, improve it. But I've seen you and Kyle, basically your charts are almost the same. You don't have like too fancy stuff, too many pattern. I mean, has to be very simple, you know, has to be very simple. And when you start to overcomplicate things, when you start making like too many indicators, you start putting too many strategies at the same time, it won't work. It won't simply work. Like a trader, he came to me and he told me, I'm coming from another room. They use this method. I want to use it with yours. And I told him, okay, in this last year, 6 months, you were with him or in this group. Did you make money? No. So why would you follow that system? I mean, choose something that really works and then give it time to learn it. And like, I would say, trade it at best. So we've passed from 2 different traders right now, but I would like to know, and basically I receive a lot of questions from members, what were the mental blocks, and I'm going to ask this to you, Bas, and then to Kyle, the mental block that you had to overcome in order to become a profitable trader. So for example, I know that you started with the goal to make $1,500 a week. And I went back and look in the first mentoring message that I had with Kyle, and he was saying, I want to make $100, $200 a day. So in order for you guys to move from that first goal to now your goal, what changed? What were the blocks and difficulties that you had to overcome? For you, boss, what was?
Yeah, it's the thing about learning to lose, probably. You have to understand it's a trading in the zone, Mark Douglas. It's a probabilities game. So if you know the patterns, this is where the psychology comes in. You have to trust that over time your numbers are going to play out, and you have to learn to lose and keep the losses small. And then when you get into sizing, which is, when I started doing that, you have to get comfortable that those losers are going to get bigger, but you also have to understand that so with the winners, and that the probabilities will still play out. And so the process of sizing, and you start seeing, I used to have $200-$300 losers, $500 kind of pissed me off. And now I'm seeing $1,000, $2,000 losers, and I'll get, $7,000 winners kind of thing. So you just have to trust the probability.
The point, Steve, is when you have those losers, let's say you are 4 or 5 months into day trading, and you are like this comfort, you felt like this is not going to work. This is like a failure. Because a lot of new traders feel like that. They feel like, okay, I'm trading even, I don't know, J lines of day trader, and I'm not making much. So did you ever feel that? How did you like improve from that first, I would say, bus to the new bus?
Yeah, for sure. I tried to day trade 15 years ago. I had no idea what I was doing. It was probably 20 years ago. Who knows? I'm an old man. And I felt like back then, I remember what I felt like. I felt like I was wasting my time. 300 up, 300 down, 500 up, 500 down. I'm like, I can't waste my life breaking even, treading water. But I didn't have a strategy. I didn't understand risk. But if you fast forward to today, it's like, when I started out, I'd take a bunch of losers, and then you start doubting whether or not the strategies work. I never doubted the strategies worked. I said, I believe that, hey, Jtrader is an honest, loyal guy. I just trusted in him. And I said, these patterns freaking work. If I'm not making money, it's me. And so you see me post in the room that, hey, trust these J lines. And we joke, J lines don't work. J lines don't work. When you go back and look at the charts, I think everyone will agree the J lines work. It's unbelievable how accurate they are. And if you're not making money, you're not executing the strategies properly. You're either chasing, or you're not trusting the J lines, or when it pulls back, you go, I don't think it's going to bounce. And like he said, I don't read tape. I trust that the J lines are going to work. Now, I do a little bit of tape. I want to see a little bit of like, sometimes I want to see a weak hand washout, I call it, where it's going to, take out some stops and reclaim, or I want to see a soak or something, but I'm not a big level 2 guy. And I believe with big caps, and big caps are different. Trust me, it's, the small caps, it's a whole different ball game. So there's a lot of differences we could talk about. But with big caps, I believe context over tape, which means, if I have a huge catalyst on a good growth company, and right now the markets are ripping. And having said that, right now it's easy. And I've been around long enough to know that it's not easy. So I'm actually starting to get a little cautious going, hey, this seems too easy. But context over tape, what I mean is when I see a Peloton announce that they have huge demand and they can't meet the demand and the stock crashes, and then they announce, hey, we just bought a company that's going to help us meet demand and build more bikes in North Carolina or wherever, I go, hey, that's big news. I'm in on this. I'm not worried about level 2 in the next 5 seconds. I'm thinking big money's coming in and they're going to buy this shit up. And so I'm a big picture, and this goes back to my investing days. So I'm wrapping that into what Jtrader taught me. And I'm doing, my day trading, my swing trading, my investing, I'm overlaying all of those. I'm investing in the same stocks I'm day trading because I know these things, but I'm a big context over tape kind of guy.
And I think over here, Kyle has a total different approach, because Kyle, how much of your edge is based on news? Like, for example, he was talking about Python over here, that we had this this good news, good catalyst. So he knows he has to invest over there. You will find a good pullback. And how are news for you? Are they important? I believe not that much, correct?
Not that much. It's just a matter of determining if it's a, phase 3 final as compared to phase 1 or phase 2, the BS news. The only thing with the news, as far as I'm concerned, is it legitimate news? Is it news that is really going to take a stock and hold it up? Because as you know, I do gap and craps, gap and extensions that are going to fail, and pump and dumps. So I just have to make sure that the news is not, one of those where they're approved fully and it's just going to be a big blockbuster bio or something like that. Once I determine that's not the case, then it's just a matter of timing. It's making sure I'm not too early, because as you get in too early, you get used up and you don't catch the backside because you're already maxed out. So really that's the only thing with the news, is just trying to figure out, is it legit, blockbuster news for a bio? Other than that, then the news doesn't matter. It's just level 2. And I keep it simple. I used to have a lot of, I used to have Bookmap. I used to have, and all those things are great. I think Bookmap's great. I think there's some other things that are out there that are great. But the problem I had is it just made me too biased. I would see, the big orders sitting up on in Bookmap and that, and it would just get me too biased. Now I just look at where the resistance is on the weekly chart. Like today, I think it was AMTX. There was big resistance on the weekly, or no, it was LG, or what was that other one?
Maybe it was JG.
JG. Yeah, that was had big resistance, and it got right up to it, and that gave me the confidence to take a little more size. And if that was kind of my stop point. I like to trade the high a day. If it gets up to high a day, I wait for it to start getting heavy at high a day, and I'll trade off high a day. But anyway, so yeah, that's it for me there. But the news, yeah. So the news isn't a big deal. I just need news to gap it up,
Yeah, because how many times we see a news and, like they say, license agreement, contract 200 million, or even, phase 2, primary implement, and then you have a gap, maybe first 30, 40 minutes, strap some longs, then boom, dumps all day. And you see bag holders, big sellers all day long. And so in your trading, I know you do, but you don't take one whole position. I see that often you scale into a position, correct?
Yeah, for me, yeah.
And why do you do this? What? Because some traders ask me how to scale in. What is the purpose of scaling in? In my opinion, is just like to have some feelers and to reduce the risk. Not to be too early. If I short, for example, on a front side or even on a back side, I want to scale in, for example, into VWAP or into the J lines. So I have that precise area where to scale in. And I may get 30, 40% maybe front side, and then on the back side of that same move, I will be shorting and hitting the bid. And how you do it?
Yeah, I got to get warmed up. That's why I scale in. Scaling in, it kind of gets me in the zone. It gets me in that flow state where I kind of start to get in rhythm with the level 2, because as especially when they're being manipulated by the big hands or the algos, when they're grinding and going up and down, you can kind of catch that rhythm. And some of them are not that good. Some of them will show a pattern. And once you get that pattern, you can make some money, not a lot, but I've made, $1,800, $2,000, $100 at a time. You sit there for an hour or two, and the next thing you know, you go check your profit and you're up $2,000, and it's like, wow, but I am getting better at backside, sitting on it, and that's where being in the room. Once when the bell hits, I've usually gotten everything out, being in the room. I've kind of done the homework, kind of looked at what you're doing and what you are showing on that particular ticker as far as levels and stuff. I kind of compare it to my own. I'm kind of like Steve. I kind of do my own stuff in the morning, and I'll check in to make sure that, I'm not totally 180 out with what the room's doing. And then once the volume starts to slow down and I can kind of see its backside, then I'll start checking back in and seeing, if you still think maybe it's going to go to the 200 EMA. And then after, and that's the other thing about your indicators, my system, I still use, the J line 7289. I still use those for, early on to take some size off when it hits that. Then when it breaks down below that, then I'm using the 200 EMA to take some size off. And then if I see, it really got pumped up, then I know it's going to break below the 200, so I still use all the indicators. Everything I do is still based on, your system. Even though you don't teach my style to new traders, it's still based off of everything you teach in the room. You know.
And Kyle, what is the most important, I would say, time zone for you? So are you taking the majority of your trades, for example, in pre-market in the first, I would say, 60 minutes or later in the day?
Nah, the first hour really. And then if it's showing that it's got a little left in it, I may check in today. But I've gotten to where now I just realize I'm just spinning my wheels after about 11 a.m. Eastern time, you know, especially if there's not much room left. I just, well, you know, it's not worth it. It's just not worth all the mental capital. You know, I just stop trading and move on, especially if I've hit my target. But even if I haven't, you know, that's part of it too, is learning to know when it's time to stop. You know, if you're going to sit there, you know, trying to get that extra $200 could cost you everything. And
Exactly.
I've had it happen plenty of times.
Same to me. When you are like even big on the day, and then midday you give back more, and you end up with.
Yep. And that's where that being a human comes in. That's human nature. I mean, you know, you just you want it back. You know, you can be up 2,000 and lose 200 of that 2,000. You want it back, then and it's just a downward spiral. So
Exactly. And you, Steve, what is your, I would say, favorite time of the day where you take the majority of your trades?
I'm kind of all over the map. I like the under overs for sure. I just love the risk reward there, and it's exciting. And I use Bookmap. When I trade the under overs, I trade different than the rest of the day. So I usually have 4 stocks up on Bookmap, and then I'll have like 4 backup stocks. So I'm looking at 8 stocks at once, but I'll trade 4 on the under over. And like today, I hit Square, I hit Peloton. I came in short swing on Tesla, and I can't remember what else, but I had some Fubo. So I had some swings that were working. They were all options. And then I had, Peloton and Square were the under overs for today. But once I'm done with that, and Alexander knows because I trade with her, we start looking for the bounce plays. And so we like the 1 minute VWAP bounce plays. I work with young Matt. I got Ed in England helping me, and Eddie Z. They're all my buddies. But we're working all of those on the bounce. And then I like these midday consolidations. I know, Jay, you see me try to nail those. I have some tricks to like time them perfectly. So I love those. And I actually have pretty decent numbers in the middle of the day, but you're asking about what's changed. I used to take random trades that were extended, and you said, don't trade in the middle of the day, don't trade in the middle of the day. Trade in the middle of the day is okay if you got the market, if you've got the stats, if you know what you're doing. But typically without the volume, you're not going to get the move. So it's not really worth your time. When you say, hey, where's my time best spent? Definitely the under over number 1, then the first bounce number 2. I don't do the late day fades or any of that, but I do look for that last minute consolidation. So that time zone for me is 13:15 to 13:30. And I joke, that's when the New York traders come back from the food trucks. So they're not doing it now because they're all home with COVID. But, normally they go down the buildings. If you've ever been to Manhattan, they go stand at the food trucks in their suits or their shirt and their tie, and then they go back up the elevators. And I just picture those guys coming back from lunch. And around 13:15, 13:30, that's when I'm looking for that afternoon second wave of something with super high R-vol, something with a great catalyst, and something that I think is going to close at high a day. So I like the under over first 30 minutes. I like the first bounce in the first hour and a half. When school was in session, I'm taking my kid to school at 8:15. I live in San Diego, or about an hour north of San Diego, so I'm West Coast, and I'm taking my kid to school at 8:15. So I'm out the door, and usually you get 2 waves. People that know how I trade measured moves. That second wave is done by 8:15. I'm out of there, take my kid to school, and then I'm coming back 10:15 my time, which is that 1:15 time, to hit the consolidations and the moves to the close. But I don't really do the LDFs. That's not my game.
And a question for both. How right now is, how much important is trading for you in your life? What are your expectations from here to the next, I would say, 5 to 10 years? You see yourself still trading? You see yourself like on a big pile of money, just like surfing? Or what is your goal? I mean, for you, Bus, what is?
I got big plans. I wrote Jtrader a letter when I started mentoring, And I said, look, I'm gonna be $1 million trader. He's probably like, you're full of shit. But I said, I knew if I wrote that letter that I would hold myself accountable and he would hold me accountable. So I told him I'm going to be $1 million trader, and I feel like I'm going down that path. And so I can't thank JT enough for what he's done for me. The fact that he shared his strategies, he didn't have to do any of this. The fact that he's given away his strategies, and it sounds like a marketing pitch, but I'm going to do it anyway. He's giving you the ticket. He's giving you the strategies that work for 20 years. What you have to understand with these strategies, like you talk about, like with algos and stuff, they talk about, hey, the edge disappears. This is price action trading, right? Stocks move because of psychology. People, there's buyers, there's sellers, there's people taking profits, there's people trying to short the lower high. The stocks move based on psychology, and his patterns are not going to change. The 7289 is based on psychology, and people, until every human is out of the market, and that's going to be a long time. Although 80% of trading now is done by algos. I don't know if people realize that, but the algos still have to be programmed by a human, and the human's going to base the algo on human patterns, right? Until the machines completely take over and we're living on Mars with Elon Musk. But it's just the nature of the beast. It's all psychology. And so this is price action that will not change. And so I'm excited about it. I'm going to be trading this for a long time. If he's trading it for 20 years, I'm going to be trading it till I'm 80 or 90. I don't know, but I've been looking at my phone for 30 years, stocks.
That is not the same idea. I see from his face.
I don't have any plans to stop trading. I've been checking my stocks every day for 30 years. This is what I'm passionate about, and I'm not going to stop. I'll be in my wheelchair trading J lines.
That's good. You gave me a very good picture to think about. And Kyle, what's your next goal for, let's always say, from here till 2025?
Just to keep growing and keep improving my profits. The thing for me is I read that book, The Psychology of Money, and there was a chapter in there that really hit home with me. And it talked about big money traders that had made hundreds of millions of dollars that still risked all of that because they needed to be the top dog on the block. They needed to be bigger than the other trader. They were comparing themselves, and they lost everything just for something they didn't even need. They didn't need more money. But then they lost everything that they did need. And that's what I remind myself. Don't lose what I need, what I already have for something that I don't really need. So I'm doing it systematically. I've got a $1,000 a day average now. Today was $1,800. So my goal right now is to make a day what I make a week, which is,
that's a very good goal.
So, and I set those goals, and then I want to just keep growing that as big as it can go. But I don't want to get to the point where, I'm just all over the place because, obviously small caps have a range because of volume, because of float size. You can only take so much. So eventually, I think, once I hit that level with small caps, I'll probably move to big caps and start longing and something with some more volume and level 2 and everything. So that's
you're
my
going
goal.
to talk more with Bus over here.
Yeah, my goal is to eventually do big caps too. I like small caps right now. I like the action, but the one thing that happened to me, Jay, is I realized that I had to get good at trading because I love to trade. I love it. And I'm not going to lie. So I said, if I can't make this work, it's going to suck because I'm not going to be happy. I love trading. I mean, it's just something that clicks for me. But, and I appreciate, and the other thing, like Steve was saying, I went to a lot of rooms, and when I came to your room, you're not an alert room, but you sit there every day on Zoom and show new traders. You sit there and walk through it, and you tell them, do not trade. You're not telling them where you're trading or anything, but you show every day how to trade a stock. And,
For me, Kyle and Bus was, I could have retired like already 10 years ago.
Yep.
I'm not trading anymore the size I used to trade. I have more than one account. I want to teach my wife. I saw a lot of bad information around, and I want to really help new traders. It really fills me up of joy that you can have realize your dream. Or Bus had to stop being a pilot, and now he can work from home, help his son And this is really the joy. I mean, my first goal right now is not to trade. I mean, I'm trading like maybe 20th of what I used to trade. I used to trade scalping like 200K, almost euro, every single position I used to take. And was like 30, 40 million per month of intermediate volume. And I have all this, like a backup from my broker in Italy, twice trade with Michele Pertile back in 2000, 2005. And I don't want to do that anymore. It was super stressful, 30, 40 execution per day, basically almost like you trade right now. So right now I'm trading like so stupid volume comparing to that because I want to help new traders to develop those skills, to become good, some trader before were telling me, thank you, Jay, because I finally found a way how to make my money. It's still a small amount of money, but he's learning how to trade. I always say, don't follow alerts because if something happens to me, or if I just like fuck up that day, you're fucked. Instead, if you learn how to trade, you know how to manage your money, how much of capital you have to put in that exact trade, and you can improve and evolve. And this is what I like about you guys. I mean, you are already like successful both in your lives and you still had like passion for something. I think when you have a passion strong like this, you can do everything. And the day that you lose that passion, that love of trading, is better you stop doing trading, because then you will become just like, I'm doing this because I have to do it, not because I love it. That's the difference. It's like for the person that goes to work and he loves to work, so he will do that job 10 times better, and it won't be like hard. It won't be like hard like training or studying 10 hours a day, because you do it with passion. The day that becomes like, I have to do it, like, my shift, my job, I hate it, then it's like you're gonna be a failure. So that's my opinion. And two last questions over here, because I think we almost did 40 minutes. Thank you again for being here both. First to Kyle, just like briefly, what was your worst trading day? And before, you said you had a bad day, and you said the day after, if you still have a red day, you simply cut then back the size. Why you do this? I mean, do you feel discomfort, or like you feel like you're not even anymore a trader? Because it happened to me in the past, when you have maybe 2-3 days red days and you feel like, wow, my strategy is not working. How I'm gonna do right now? I have to study maybe from the beginning. I have to like to start again from 200 shares or something like that. I mean, did it ever happen to you, something like this?
Yeah, no, and that's it exactly. If I take a big loss and then I have another loss, and when I say a big loss, if I had a max loss day and then I have another loss, confidence is everything. You got to be, you don't want to be taking profits too early. You don't want to be second guessing. So I'll just go down in size to where, and then just have some good solid trades just in the day green and make $100 or $200 and call it, and then just build back off of that. And after you've been doing it for a while, it doesn't take long to build it back up. And just to also make sure that you're not missing something, that you're not, because you're not going to be 100% all the time. And so you gotta realize that when you take a max loss, you might be just kind of wore out. You might need a break, and you might need to size down, take some of the stress off. And but in my worst day trading, I've had some big losses. But I'd say probably one of the worst days was when, I had maybe a $6,000-7,000 week, and it was a Friday, and I gave it all back on Friday, and then had to go through the weekend knowing that not only was I up $6,000 for the week going into Friday, but now I go into the weekend down $2,000, just because I sat there and acted like, I was playing with the bank's money instead of my own money, and then realizing all weekend long how stupid so that for me is probably, the worst as far as in trading. And I've learned on Fridays to be really cautious. I'm really big about ending the week on a positive. I do not like to go into the weekend with a loss. So
same over here. Friday, I always size down. And also, I do like you. I have multiple accounts. I like to wire always out. You never know what can happen. You can have a day where your computer shuts off. you're in a position, maybe you can't call the broker, you cannot close the position, you have all money stuck there, you have an offering, boom, you're long, and maybe you lose like 80% of your account. I mean, you have to be very careful in the market. That's the reason for me that you make money, you want your account, good. 50% of what you win, what you make, wire out, the other 50% you can reinvest. And for me, that's also very important to use different brokers. I mean, I know you have Cobra, and I suggest Cobra as a very good broker, reliable, safe, but we never know, about, maybe stop loss doesn't go and you just like lose too much money. So for me, it's very important because I came from these big losses. I know it. And for me, lowering the risk, the exposure to the risk is one of the most important things. And Bus, I call him Bus because, he was a former pilot of Airbuses. So your worst trading day, and a different question, how did you end up having your worst day in trading? What was the cost, basically, if you had one?
Well, for day trading, I think as recently I was in PIN, I had a ton of options on PIN, and I have 2 computers. I have a laptop hooked up to 2 screens. I got a desktop hooked up to 3 screens. So I'm like, okay, I got my phone, I got my regular ISP, I got 2 computers, I'm all set. And all of a sudden, I use Tastyworks for options, and they're pretty good. And all of a sudden it says can't contact server, and the stock starts going against me, and on both of my computers are saying can't contact the server, and I'm trying to get out. I never looked at the phone app, so I highly recommend you're familiar with the phone app before you do it. And then we talked about a lot of this in the room, but backup battery, backup ISP, and know how to use the phone app. But I didn't do any of that, and down she went. Stock started tanking, and then I ended up losing 10,000 on PIN in one day, and literally in about 20 minutes. And I was just sitting there like deer in the headlights, fumbling with my phone, trying to figure out how to work the app. And I was like, fuck it, I'll just risk it to zero. So once you get, this is a lesson on emotion. Once you get emotional, you do some dumb shit. So once I was like, I lost a bunch of money and I was pissed off. Then I made the choice to risk it to zero, which cost me another 4,000. So don't make decisions when you're emotional. Honor your stops, get the hell out. You can make it back tomorrow. And I've learned that from that trade. And as your losses get bigger, you got to get used to cutting $3,000 losers to $2,500 losers. And you know that you can come back tomorrow and get it back. And so it's just in your head at that point. You have to be able to bounce back from these things. For me, I'm in a little different situation. I don't want to pretend like I'm not. I had bigger accounts. I'm doing this, mostly because of the challenge. It's not so much about the money. I'm doing it for my kids. I want to give them a great life. But I just say, you know what? It's just fucking money. And so you have to find a way to free your mind that if you lose, it's no big deal. And then gain confidence in your skill, and then go back to the probabilities that you're going to get the money back. But if you get hung on to one trade and you let it go, this is why you got to put those fail safes in if you don't have discipline. And I don't have any hard fail safes like broker limits and that sort of thing. I've always been able to bounce back from big losers. I think Jay sees in my mentoring, I've had some $7,000-$10,000 days and I bounce right back. I've never had a string of 4 or 5 losing days. I just believe in the system, and I just come back and go, hey, that's just one trade. And it's what you read in trading in the zone and probabilities, but it's one thing to read it, it's another thing to believe it. And so I just believe that these strategies work if I keep taking consistent size. For me, one thing I do different, I have a win rate of about 55%, and Jtrader's like 70, and I see guys in the room 90 and 100. That's one part of the equation. You have to understand expectancy, obviously. So, it's win rate and then your average winner, average loser. I'm really good at holding trades. And I'm also pretty good at having conviction and sizing on things that I'm confident in. So when I see a catalyst and I go, hey, this thing's going to go, and that's where I'm drawing on my experience from the past. And so that's really benefited me. But I make a lot of money on a few trades. It's like the 80-20 thing. I have some huge trades, but I take a lot of losers too. So my win rate's not great, but the combination of having conviction and sizing into the best of the best, I think that's what I'm pretty good at.
Okay. So traders, I think that we can wrap it up over here. Just want to leave you the word if you want to add something, Bas, and you want to add something, Kyle. First of all, thank you again for being with us today. Also, Merry Christmas. Anticipate a Merry Christmas to both of you and your family. I wish you good luck for this Christmas. It's a strange Christmas with the COVID and everything. I hope it will be a very good year for you both, for the guys in the room, for you and your families. Bas, you want to say something? And Kyle?
Sure.
Yeah. I'll go ahead and go. Yeah, I just want to say Merry Christmas to everybody. I want to say I really appreciate what you're doing, Jay. Really made a difference in my trading, in my life. I really appreciate it. I mean, I really do.
Thank you very much.
Great place to come. I start my morning every morning in the room. I've learned now to do my own thing, but it'll always be a part of my trading. And I want to let the other traders in the room know, I know I post my P&L on my charts and all that. And it's not because I think it's so great. I'm trying to show where a guy who had no clue and is still trying to figure it out what's possible. I don't think that I'm doing, that what I'm showing is anything great. I'm showing the new guys that this is what's possible, and you can have mediocre trades and still make money and still learn. I'm hoping that one day I'll get to the point where I won't post my P&L because, it'll be past that point. I don't want to post big P&Ls in the room for new guys to see, but I don't think that's the case yet. I want to show the struggle and show guys that it's possible. And
I think that's a very good thing. And also, Kyle, I like a lot when you post the charts, because even if you scalp, it's very clear and understandable, and you show really the feels that you have. So if somebody wants really to learn, goes and takes those charts, use them really as a Bible. He takes the chart, he looks at your daily and weekly resistances, and then you start looking, okay, all the feels that you took. And as I said, traders, do it if you like to scalp, because they're very understandable. So you can really see the process Scott had. That's the most important thing. I wish back in the days I had somebody like you to show me all the fields you take. I wish I had that.
Yeah, and I also do it for my own catalog of trades. But just start off small. That's the other thing I would say. Learn to make $100 a day. Don't go for 1,000. Don't go. When I finally just told myself, because I just said, look, I just need to learn how to make 100 a day. I need to quit worrying about 5,000 or just 100, and then learn to do that and learn how to lose. I did not know how to lose. I just, it's bred in us, especially over here in America, win, 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 and it just doesn't fit some of our psychology. And, I'm older. I've had a successful business. I think I know everything, I've already had success. So to take a loss, I didn't think it would be a problem, but I finally got to the point where I realized it was psychological for me. Stopping out and taking a $500 loss, it was bigger for me than I thought. And that's what really the biggest thing that's changed for me is learning how to lose. And that's, I heard that the other day, you should prepare to lose every day, and then if you prepare to lose, then you're going to have yourself covered, because you're going to lose the right way. But anyway, that's it. And I really appreciate, like I said, you having the room, and it's made all the difference for me.
Thank you, Kyle. Also for me, a pleasure to have you in the room every single day. Bas, your last words?
Yeah, I think what Kyle said, I couldn't say it any better. I just want to say thank you. I appreciate the fact, I get emotional even thinking about it, that, you changed my life, and I appreciate it. And, I don't post my P&L to brag. I post my P&L to motivate people. If I can do it, anybody can do it. And, I don't have a lot of time, and my life's forever changed. So thank you.
Thank you very much, traders. Really. Merry Christmas. Also from over here, Alexandra.
Merry Christmas, guys.
Merry
Wish
Christmas.
all the
Appreciate
best.
it.
I'm always here for you guys. Whenever you want to help, talk, I'm always here for you. Okay. Thank you very much for being here today. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Jay.
Steve.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Have a good one, Steve.
Yeah, nice meeting you, Kyle.
Good meeting you too, bro.